Hi there, this is Megan with Left in Knots, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet the oversized C2C stitch or the treble crochet C2C or corner to corner crochet stitch. This is the stitch that I used in my glacial cowl pattern from my 7 days of Scarfy this year, and I will link that pattern in the link below. This oversized C2C stitch is a bit more flexible, a bit fluffier than your typical C2C, so it makes a really nice wearable with some really pretty texture, especially with that Scarfy yarn. So I will link that pattern below, go check it out. But for demonstration purposes, I am using worsted weight yarn and a 5.5mm crochet hook. Use whatever yarn and hook the pattern you're working with calls for. I've started with a chain 7, and 3 of these are a turning chain. So to do the treble crochet, I'm going to yarn over my hook twice, and then I'm going to work in the 4th chain from the hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the chain I'm going to work in with my first treble crochet. So I'll insert my hook, yarn over, pull through the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. It's just one extra step than a regular double crochet. Now I'm going to go into my next chain stitch of this. Yarn over, pull through the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, yarn over twice, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull through the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and last one. Okay, now corner to corner is exactly what it sounds like. If you're not familiar with it, you're working from one corner of your piece to the second corner. So you're working diagonally. And so this is the first, I like to call them squares or pixels. This is the first square of your project, and each row while you're increasing is going to have one more square. So row 1 will have 1, row 2 will have 2, row 3 will have 3 while we're doing increasing rows. So to crochet increasing rows, you're going to, when you get done with that square, you're going to chain 7 again. And now again, you're going to work in the 4th chain from your hook with a treble crochet. And this will be identical to that very first square you crocheted in row 1. So again, that's 4 treble crochets. I'm going to pretend that knot isn't there. Okay, so now this is your square from the first row. This is your first square from the second row. You're going to work your next square in this chain 3 space from your first row. So you're going to kind of flip that up, slip stitch, and pull tight to connect that. And now you're going to chain 3. And again, work 4 treble crochet into this chain 3 space now. So it's going to look the same as your other squares, but this time you're just working into the chain 3 space instead of into individual chain stitches, which is actually kind of nice. So as you keep going, you'll have more of these chain 3 spaces to work into instead of working into chain stitches, so it'll go faster. At least I think it's faster to work into the chain spaces instead of the actual chain stitches. Okay. So there you've got row 2. And again, you can see this is looking just like a typical corner to corner, but there's just a bigger stitch creating a bigger square. And we're going to increase one more row here. I'm going to speed this up. And then when I'm done with this row, I'll come back and I'll show you how we crochet maintaining rows that you need to crochet to make a rectangular corner to corner piece. Okay, I wanted to stop here just to show you this rotation again that you need to do after you do that first square of your next row. Remember, you're going to flip that up because you're going to be working in this chain 3 space this time. So I'm going to slip stitch and tighten and work into that chain 3 space with my treble crochet stitches. Okay, now I'm at the end of row 3, and now we're going to pretend like I'm ready. That's the width I want. I want to make my piece rectangular now. So now instead of chaining 7, I'm going to chain 1, really kind of a tight chain stitch, turn my piece, slip stitch loosely with about the same tension as your other stitches across these 4 treble crochet stitches from the square you just made. And then this is the chain 3 space from that square. I like to just slip stitch right into there, pull tight. And now you're going to, that gave you your next corner of your rectangle. So now you're going to crochet this way. So this was a decrease on this side technically. So you're going to continue crocheting into those chain 3 spaces like you did before. And then when you get to this last stitch, since you are wanting to crochet maintaining rows, you're still going to slip stitch up here, crochet a square up here, and then turn your piece. So I'm going to keep working this row. Now would be a good time to pause, work on your own project, and then when you're ready, come back and I'll show you how to make this next turn to your 5th row. Okay, we're back, and as you can see, I've finished my 3 squares of my 4th row here because I said I wanted to make a rectangle, right? So here I did a decrease, but I continued increasing on this side of my piece to make that rectangular shape. So since we're increasing on this side of the piece, this next row is actually going to start with an increase on this side. So we're going to do that chain 7 again. Okay, now we're at the end of this row again, because remember this side of the project is our increasing and this side of the project is our decreasing side. And so by only increasing on one side of the project, we're turning it into a rectangle. So now I'm going to slip stitch into this chain 3, but I'm not going to continue with a chain 3 here. I'm going to do that tight chain 1, turn, and then loosely slip stitch across these 4 treble crochets from my previous square. Then I'm going to slip stitch into that chain 3 space, do my decrease, and crochet across, except this time I'm going to start decreasing to finish off my rectangle. So I'm going to crochet these next 2 squares, and then I will show you how we finish off this rectangular shape with the oversized C2C stitch. Okay, so I finished those 2 squares, and now, even though this is our increasing side, since we want to finish off our rectangle, I'm not going to crochet another square in this chain 3 space. Instead, I'm going to do our decrease again, where I slip stitch, chain 1, and turn, and slip stitch across. So where you were maintaining 3 squares across in each row, now you're going to reduce that number. That last row had 2, and now you're going to make your final corner of this rectangle with this very last square. So chain 1, or sorry, chain 3, do your last set of treble crochets, and then just to end it, you're going to slip stitch into that chain 3 space from your previous row, and that makes your rectangle. Now if you're making the glacial cowl, you're going to fold these ends together and then slip stitch this seam so that you make a cowl shape. But seriously, I think this oversized C2C stitch would make an awesome blanket because the fabric has just a little bit more movement. It's a little bit less stiff than a traditional corner to corner. And so I think it would make a really comfy, I like blankets that, you know, fall around me, and I think this would do that more so than a typical C2C stitch. So that is the oversized corner to corner crochet stitch. Again, if you want the pattern for my glacial cowl, I will link it below. I also have all of my other free patterns and video tutorials on my website, www.leftknotsknots.com. And if you want more crochet video tutorials, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks, you guys. I hope you enjoyed learning this.